friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. Before I hear a bunch of belly aching about, I don't want to see this video, I want to see something on building and repairing guitars, well, this is reality. And I'm going to show you why I don't get to put out a video every single day like a lot of these channels do. I have lots of things I have to do. I don't have to do everything I'm going to show you every day. But, you know, it takes up a huge percentage of my time, especially during the winter. I've mentioned before that I feel like I burn more firewood than any individual in the whole United States, and I seriously stand behind that statement. I don't think there's a person in Canada, I don't think there's a person in Alaska that burns more firewood than I do for personal use only. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of people that cut more firewood and sell it commercially, etc., but not for personal consumption. I think I'm the ruling king on that, and I'm going to show that to you now, and you'll understand why it takes so much, effort to put these videos out, because I have so much other stuff I have to do. Having said that, now you know where we're headed, but I wanted to tell you a couple of things. First of all, we've had our farm logged this year. They've come in and cut all the big oak timber. Well, that has left treetops everywhere. So a lot of the wood I'm cutting is green. You're preaching to the choir when you start talking about seasoned wood. I know all about seasoned wood. There ain't nobody that knows it any better than me. You're talking to a guy that has 7 chainsaws. So, you're kind of teaching your grandma how to suck eggs when you start talking to me about chainsaws and cutting firewood. I've been there, done that many times, and probably more than almost anybody watching this video. I'm not saying I'm an expert logger, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I got plenty of experience when it comes to firewood. So you can hold those comments to yourself in terms of, you're not doing that right, you need to do this. Well, you come here and show me. That's what I'd say to you. The other thing is, I'm going to show you my wood furnace and why it takes so much wood. And in order to show you why it takes so much wood to heat the house, I have to show you the house. So we're going to take a house tour as well. And again, I'm going to get those same comments. I'm going to get the comments of, you need to insulate, you need to put radiant floor heating in, you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, come here and pay for it, okay? That's what I say, because you'd have to be a flippin' millionaire to upgrade this house the way it needs to be upgraded. It would be cheaper to build a new house, and I'm not rich, so that's why I do all the firewood cutting. If I was rich, I'd just buy gas. But seriously, and I'm not exaggerating, it would take 1,000 gallons of propane every month to heat this house. The house cools real easy. In the summertime, you can cool this house for what you cool just a little 2-bedroom shack somewhere. I'm telling you, it's just different. It used to be 3 separate houses. They put a roof over all 3 of the houses, so there's roofs inside of roofs. It's just a cobbled up mess. This is not a fancy house by any stretch. I'm not showing it to you to show off what I have. When you see it, you'll understand it's just a very austere type living conditions. It's nothing fancy at all. It's nice in the fact that it's big and roomy and all that, but you pay for it in the wintertime, let me tell you. In fact, and some of you have seen the video where I talked about buying this farm. Well, you'll know in that video, from that video, that I never even looked at the house when I made the purchase on the farm. I was standing in the driveway and I made the deal in the driveway because I knew I would never find a cheaper deal. I bought this whole place, including the houses and the buildings and all the 280 acres, for less than what a lot of people spend for a nice house in a decent subdivision. So, it was the thing to do for me because I like to be out like this. I like this lifestyle, etc. So, without further ado, let's head up to the wood stove first because I have chores to do there. And then we'll show you the house, and then we'll show you how I have to go out and cut firewood. Here we go. So here we are in front of the wood furnace. I'm told this is the biggest residential wood furnace you can buy. The next size up that this company makes, and this is central boiler, the next size up takes a forklift to load it. So this holds a lot of wood, let me tell you. Yes, it's 4 to 5 feet deep. A lot of people say, well, you can just cut 4-foot logs, 5-foot logs, throw them in there. Well, can you pick up a 4-foot log or a 5-foot log? I can't, you know, and I've been doing this a long time. So, I mean, sure, if you got skinny stuff, you could, but that's kind of rare. Anyway, here's what it is on the inside. It's completely empty at the moment, except for it's full of ash. So about once every 2 or 3 weeks, I have to empty this thing out. People will tell you you can only burn, you know, seasoned wood. Well, this kind of furnace doesn't care. You can throw a railroad tie in here full of creosote and it'll burn it to a crisp. It doesn't care. And no, you don't get the creosote built up. I'll show you the flue to prove it. I've never had to clean the flue on this. I've had it since 2013. I swear to you, I've never had to clean the flue. The flue is almost crystal clear all the time. So this is, you know, most people use a little poker for a fire poker, you know, to reach in and move logs around. I'm not lying. This is my poker. This is what I move logs around with. Let me tell you, it gets very hot cleaning this out. If this thing has a fault, when you know the wind's blowing, sorry, you're probably hearing that. If this furnace has a fault, it's that it's actually kind of difficult to clean the ashes out, because I like to keep the hot coals, and you really can't hardly keep the hot coals and yet clean out the ash. There's no ash drawer below. That would be kind of nice if there was. I will tell you, it gets very hot standing here. Even though all that is just ash, it's very hot ash. And you notice I got, this is the long-handled shovel. You need that to get to the back. The water temperature is down to 150 degrees right now. We were letting it burn down for this purpose. Normally it's between 175 and 185. But man, this fire is still really hot. Man, it's really hot. It just happens to be a relatively warm day today, so that's why we thought it'd be a good day to let it burn down. Even though I wish it was burnt down more. I'm going to have to actually move. There's a pile of logs here, and I can't get back away from it far enough, so I'm going to have to move this pile of logs because I'm getting too hot this close. Just another fun thing to do. Well, I've cleaned out enough area here where I can walk through here now. That makes it a lot better, and I can get a little further away. That is incredibly hot. I am not kidding you how hot that is. You really need the shirt on to insulate your skin from the heat. I mean, it's that hot. And because it's so hot, I'm not going to clean the whole thing out. Normally, I would like to take it all down and just leave the hottest pieces of ash in there. But it's so hot, I can't stand it. So I'm going to take out roughly almost a bucket full of ash. I'll show you what that looks like. You don't clean this out with a 5-gallon pail like you do most wood stoves. Not at all. Well, it's just too hot. I thought it would be cooled down more than it is, and it's not. It's pretty hot. So let me just show you what it looks like inside the actual firebox. It's big, it's deep, and it holds a lot of hot coals. And those hot coals I don't like to get rid of because I can throw this green wood in on top of that and they'll just disintegrate. As you can see, I don't have anywhere near a full bucket. I would say that's about a half a bucket full. But that's a pretty big bucket, and that's still a lot of ash. You would probably fill up 25-gallon cans at least if you were to fill that, you know, put that in there. At least, maybe more than that. And so that's a lot of ash, but normally I fill this bucket completely full each time I empty the ashes. It's just hotter than I expected it to be today, otherwise I would do that. So now we're going to fill up the stove, and you can just watch and see how much wood it takes to fill this baby up. A lot of wood, and you have to do that every 12 hours. At least 2 wheelbarrows full of wood. I'm not kidding. So if you had any doubt how much wood, look how much wood is in there. And you can see the bottom pieces, they're green and they're already on fire. Literally on fire. You can see the flame coming up down here below. It don't take nothing for this thing to burn wood. And there's a damper here. The door closes and opens automatically. In other words, you can come here on a relatively warm day like today. When the temperature is up to the top temperature, the fire will look like it's out. There won't hardly be any smoke or anything. It just shuts it all down. But when it's really cold, it can hardly keep up. Now we're going to go in the house and I'll show you why it can just barely keep up. And yes, I know green wood doesn't give you as much heat. I know all that. You can preach all you want. You're preaching to the choir, buddy. That's all I can tell you. All of this wood was hauled in yesterday. Now that includes the wood I just put in the furnace, but there was no wood there at all yesterday. So all of that was hauled in yesterday, and plus that little bit over there, which that little bit over there would fill up most wood stoves easily. But anyway, here's the pile from a different angle. You can see that's quite a pile of wood. I wouldn't say there was a cord there with the wood I put in there already, and by the way, I put wood in last night. So with all that wood, I wouldn't say that was a cord. I would say that was, you know, 3/4 of a cord maybe. Sadly, this will all be gone within about 3 days. All of it. And I'm not exaggerating. Now that's assuming it gets cold again. You know, if it stays 50 or 60, it won't be gone, but you know, it probably won't. At night, it's been getting down in the 30s, so that'll be gone very quickly. We're standing out in front of the house, and we're probably 120 feet from the house. That's how far back I had to get the whole house in the picture. The left part over here, that was a separate house. Then this middle part from here to here was a separate house. And then this was a separate house. We call this the maid's quarters now, and it's fixed up like an apartment. And, you know, I don't even know what shape it's in. I haven't been in there in a while, so the kids may have it all tore to pieces. But well, I'll show you that first. We'll go there first. Then we'll come in through the front door here in a minute and show you what that looks like. But this should give you a good explanation why this house is so hard to heat. Yes, you could rebuild the whole thing, but it'd be easier to tear it down and build a new house. This was built back in the 30s, so you know the technology back then and the insulation back then wasn't that great, though I'll show you all the work I've done, and I have done quite a bit to insulate it. But this is the maid's quarters. At least that's what we call it, even though we don't have a maid. It's not too bad. It's kind of dark in here, but You can see the kids have been using it to camp out and sleep in here and have sleepovers. They get their sleeping bags and lay on the floor and stuff. It's just one fairly large room. In fact, we don't have to guess. I've got my little machine right here that will tell us how big the room is. The room is 14 feet across there. Maybe, I don't know if that laser pointer, yeah, the pointer shows up. I've got the little laser pointer here. It's 14 feet and an inch or so. And then across this way, it's not a real big room by any stretch. But across this way, it's about 15 feet. So this room is 14 by 15. Then we come in here, we have a closet, a very small closet. And then we have a very small bathroom. The bathroom is about 5 feet 10 inches or so. So about 6 feet across here and pretty small across here. About 6 feet across that way too. So it's about 6 by 6. It's a shower, a toilet, and a sink, and that's all there is in this little bathroom. And then there's a kitchen here combined with a little washing machine. So it's a fully functional little apartment. Got a little refrigerator, etc. We do rent it out from time to time, but we haven't rented it in a while. There's the kitchen looking through the wall there. Okay, we're going to go in the main house through the front door. Sorry about the shaky cam, but you get what you get. Now we're walking up to the front porch. As you can see, the front porch here is pretty good size. And let's just measure across the front porch there to give you an idea how far that is. If it will measure out here in the daylight, I'm not sure it will. It says 31 feet. Yeah, 31 feet I'd say is what it is. That's probably pretty close across here. That would be 31 feet across the front. We come up to the entry door. And this is, we call this our entry foyer. It's hardwood floors. This is, again, it's old stuff, beat up, nothing fancy. This little deal, this little hat rack tree, I guess you'd call it a hat tree or something like that. That was built in, so we just left it there. Pretty cool little deal, I like that. And this room, that's a mirror on that wall there, so it makes it look huge. It's not, that's a mirror. So across this room, we're talking, the entry foyer is a little over 9 feet wide, and it's about 15.5 feet this way. So it's 9 by 15.5 feet for the entry foyer. Now, this part of the house we keep shut off. So we're coming into the entry foyer is shut off from the heat. We're not even heating this part of the house. This is, I guess we would just call it a junk room. We're not heating it. Let me show you how big this room is. This might blow your mind. So this room by itself is 43 feet long. Yeah, right at 43 feet long. So all the way to that far wall, it's 43 feet. Across this room here, it is 13 feet 3 inches. So it's about 13 feet 3 inches wide. There is a fireplace here, which we have shut off to help with the heat, although we're not heating this part of the house at all. You can see a ping pong table here. There's a big pool table. That's a 9-foot pool table. That's one of the big ones. And of course, you can see my deer heads. Those two were mounted fighting. Then we have a bunch of them on the wall. And I'm sorry, no apologies to those who are in love with animals and think it's a sin to kill one. You know, when you live on a farm and you're a meat eater, well, that's just what you do. And if you don't like it, well, I don't judge you for being a vegetarian. So there you go. Just difference in people. To be perfectly honest about it, and I don't want to get into this right now because it's a totally different video, I don't eat vegetables at all. None. Not a single one. We'll get into that someday if I ever get brave enough. Across this room here, it is, at this end, it is right at 17 feet wide. So you're talking a really big, area that we're not even heating. This room in here, this is, again, just more junk and more deer heads. All of these deer were taken on the farm, by the way. It's 18 feet 6 across here, and across this way it's 12 foot 4. So across this way it's 12 foot 4. So, and then there's lots of closets in this house. You know, this is junky, obviously it's just a storage closet, but you can see it's a pretty darn big closet. The closet itself is actually, it's 9 feet to the back wall, so it's pretty big. And it's a few feet across here, probably 3 feet, so it's about 9 by 3. I've seen bathrooms that were smaller than that. All right, we're going to continue the tour. We're going through this room in here, and this is another bathroom that I remodeled. This is for guests. So we just came in this door here, and you can see this is an old-timey bathroom, but I did update it. This is a new sink. I bought the old style to make it look like this old-timey bathroom. I redid the tub and the surround and all that. I re-insulated all these walls, and all of these walls have been re-insulated. But and then it goes into our guest bedroom. There's a small closet right here. And this guest bedroom is pretty big, and it's across this way. It's right at 17 feet across this way, across the length of it, and across the width is 12 feet 11 inches, so it's almost 13 feet that way. So it's a pretty big room. Let me turn the light on, it might help a little bit. But here's a look at the room from the other way. And we call this our Italian son's room. He was an exchange student from Italy back in the early 2000s and stayed with us for a full year. He's just like part of the family. We still visit him. He still visits us. He comes 2 or 3 times a year, and he stays in this room and has his own bathroom, as you just saw. Coming out of Matteo's bedroom, which is the Italian boy's bedroom, here's our great room. Just give you a look across. This is a fireplace. This is fireplace number 2. You can see a big screen television sitting in there, kind of, sort of blocking it off. It's not really. We do have it blocked off up in the flue itself, so it's not being used, and it's blocked off to save heat. And you can kind of look around. Now, see this? These logs were a log cabin, and this original part of the house is an actual log cabin. So you're in a log cabin part of the house, as you saw in that game room area. And this is what the house used to look like. If I can get it with the glare, there's so much glare from the lights. Yeah, I don't think it's really going to help much. But you can maybe see that was the original log cabin. And that little carriage house there, back in the back, that's still outside. And in fact, you can see that through the window here. That little carriage house is still there. So this room, this great room, is 36 feet 3 inches across, 36 feet across this way, and across the narrow end here, it is 22 feet 10. That's the narrow end. Across through to the kitchen, it is 33 feet 10. So it's really large. And of course we are living in this part. The king sits here. I wish I knew who the king was. I'd like to meet him. But anyway, that's the king's throne right there. If you ever see him, let me know. But anyway, you can tell it's a rather unique house. So that's fireplace number 2. There's actually 4 fireplaces. We'll get to the rest of them here in a minute. But that'll just kind of give you a look around. The kitchen we've remodeled it some, but not a whole lot. We put the island in and a few things. If you're just talking kitchen itself, the kitchen space itself is 17 feet and a few inches by about 11 feet roughly. So the kitchen itself is pretty good size. All right, continuing our tour, if we go out this way, we're going into the main hall. And if we look to the right, the door goes out to the garage. And it's a 2-car garage. The wind has blown in a bunch of leaves today. But you can see there's my car and my wife's little truck on the other side, pickup truck. This is just a utility room. Not going to really show you much on this, but you can see washer dryer. There's the 2 Lennox pulse furnaces. Those are the 2 biggest gas furnaces that you can buy for a residence. And let me tell you, when they kick on, you can be all the way down the valley and you can hear them kick on. I mean, you can be a mile away and hear them kick on. That's how loud they are on the outside of the house. You don't really hear them inside the house much, but boy, the exhaust coming out of them is loud. This is just a weird closet. This house has some of the weirdest closets. Just to give you an idea, it's 16 feet 10 inches to the back wall of that closet back there. So it's really big, and it's about roughly 5 feet across. Yeah, it's actually 5 feet 7 inches across. So this is just a storage closet. Mostly I use it for my hunting clothes and things like that. Just so you know, when you come in from the garage, my back is right at the garage door right now. It's 31 feet to just the end of the hall there. So it's 31 feet down this hallway. It's just enormous. Okay, we're halfway down that hallway, and on the right there's another guest bedroom. This is where my daughter stays when she comes for the weekend to ride horses, so she just stays in here. It's not fancy or anything. Nothing about this house is fancy, as I mentioned. It's just a utilitarian type house. But this is a fairly large room too. Across this way it's 14 feet 2 inches. Once you get in the room, just from one wall to the other, it's 11 feet 4 inches. And then we've got this little entry part into the room. Going down the hall further, here's another bathroom. This bathroom is primarily used by the person who's staying in that bedroom in there. And you can see, again, nothing fancy, but I did remodel this bathroom. It was completely in shambles when we bought the house. Well, in fact, every bathroom was in shambles when we bought the house. There were none of the bathrooms very usable. They called them usable, but it would be just a step above using an outhouse is how bad they were. They were terrible. So I've had to redo all the plumbing in all the bathrooms. And if you're keeping track, that's bathroom number 3 since we started in the maid quarter. So the maid quarter had one, we had one in the Italian boys room, and then we have one here, and so that's the 3rd bathroom. Now we're going into another, I would call this another great room, if you will. This room is, we call this the library. And over to that wall there, it's 24 feet 9 inches. So it's a big room. From one wall to the other, it's about 17 feet wide. So from the wall that I'm standing against to that wall over there, it's about 17 feet, roughly. Have a giant picture window, which is wonderful for viewing the whole farm. Love this view. My wife sits at this desk and keeps up with paperwork and pays the bills and things. And anyway, she has a nice view there. We've actually seen a mountain lion walk right across from about where that white pillar is, just behind that white pillar, all the way across right there and up the hill. And it was a mountain lion with a long tail. So you can't hardly mistake it at this distance. It's not that far. So now we're going back into another. We just really have a bed in here. This is not exactly a bedroom, but people do stay in here whenever we have a lot of visitors. We don't even know what to do with this room. It's just the room that connects the other old house to the log cabin house. So this room was just an add-on that somebody put on years ago. I've completely tore out this whole wall. This whole wall I tore completely out. It had windows all the way across, and they were just terrible. And I redid the whole insulation and put better windows and doors in. So it's much better. This side could use the same treatment, though I have never done it to this side. You can see all the windows across there too. Probably would be better off if we took them all out and just have one window or something in the front here. But it does give you a nice view of the farm. We're going to go through this part of the house. I completely remodeled everything from this point on that I'm showing you. So this is the master bedroom. Here's fireplace number 4, although I didn't really show you the fireplace in the library. We just passed by it. So this is fireplace number 4, and I completely redid that fireplace, including the hearth and everything. This was the ugliest fireplace in the whole county. So I just redid it because I couldn't stand it. It was terrible. There was an actual wall through here that I tore out and moved back to make this room a little bigger, because the bathroom that we're going to go into is still huge, but it was even bigger before. But this is still a huge bathroom. We're going to go through on my side of the bathroom first. I actually drew the bathroom on a computer and then built it. By the way, the master bedroom is 19 feet, almost exactly, by 15 feet 10 inches. So it's a pretty big master bedroom. Now we're going into the my side of the master bathroom. This is actually 2 more bathrooms. It's really plumbed, and I think no one could argue that this is really 2 full bathrooms. There's only 1 toilet, but there's a second feature that you'll see. This is my sink where I do my little bit. So my part of the bathroom is pretty tight. This is my closet. It's a small walk-in closet, and then I have this for towels and things here. But, you know, I have a very small closet. So my part of the bathroom is pretty small. And then here's a separate little toilet room. And it, of course, you know, it has its own separate door. We also have pocket doors that come through here to separate this off. So my part of the bathroom can be closed off from her bathroom. But before we leave my part of the bathroom, I want to show you my shower. And then I want to show you one feature that, pardon me ladies if you're watching, but this is one of the nicest features of my bathroom. So that's kind of nice. Since I built it myself and designed it myself, I put that in. I thought, why not? Then we go into her bathroom. And you can see her built-in sink there. It's not a real big sink. It would be nice if it was bigger, but just, you know, didn't have enough room because she wanted this giant bathtub, and she uses it every day. She loves the bathtub. She's got her plant in there right now. She's actually out of town, so she put her plant in there so when I water it, I don't make a big mess. So that's why the plant is in the tub. That's not normal. This area right here is her walk-in closet. So from that door right there to here is her walk-in closet. And it's a pretty good sized closet. I'm not going to show you in there, but anyway, it is a pretty big closet. So she's pretty happy with the way this bathroom's laid out. I will tell you, all of this marble tile that's on the floor was on special at Lowe's, and it was on closeout, and they had X number of boxes. I bought every single box they had, and I think I had 3 pieces left over when I finished. I had it calculated out how many pieces I needed, and it looked like that load that they had would work, and so I bought it all. And I laid it on the diagonal. This floor, by the way, is heated, and there is the thermostat for the heating, and that helps a little bit, although it really runs the electric bill up. But it sure is nice to have a warm floor, especially in this concrete floor house. So back in the master bedroom then, you just go through. That door is my door, that door is her door into her bathroom, and then they 2 meet in the middle, so it's like a big horseshoe. Quite a different design, but it works for us. Then back in this room that we don't even know what to call it, if you look out the back, you can see there's the wood furnace out back. And then you can see my wife actually did this patio all by herself. I mean, completely by herself. Well, she had a little help from my daughter and a few other people, but I mean, she did the whole thing herself. That wall of rock I did, and I know every single one of those big blocks by name. They weigh about 90 pounds each, and I know every one of their names. And you probably wouldn't want to hear it on camera. There's a quick story to tell you about this wall. I built that whole wall out of rough rock, just great big boulders, and I had it all done and it looked beautiful. It came a 7-inch rain. No kidding, a 7-inch rain in just a few hours. It soaked that hill up there so much that the whole hill slid down, and it just covered my boulders over. So I had to doze all of this back out after I got the wall built, and then I had to rebuild the wall, and this time I reinforced it. There's anchors back into the hill, so hopefully that won't ever happen again. Believe it or not, it actually moved that telephone pole down the hill about 10 feet. And people don't believe me when I say that, but it really did. And the pole stayed standing up the whole time. It didn't fall over. And the electric company actually came out and looked at it because I told them how it moved it. And they were aware because the pole used to actually lean downhill. And when it moved it downhill, it actually straightened the pole up at the same time. So the pole's perfectly straight now. So the electric company was happy. They said, wow, that's way better than it used to be. So it's kind of a funny story, but it is true. That hill did move down here. Before I did this wall, this hill came all the way to the house. It came all the way to the house. And it came all the way to the end of the house over here. And the water would actually run down and run in the house. That's why I built this around. And now we can drive all the way around the house too, where before, since the hill came all the way to the house, you couldn't get around there. Just a bit of trivia, just to show you how much work I do, so you don't think the only thing I do is build instruments. All right, so we're going back. I think that pretty much completes the house tour. We're back in the library. I didn't actually show you the fireplace in the library before. This is not fancy either, and no sooner than I actually fixed that door, one of the grandkids broke it again. And it's like it's not meant to be fixed, so I just left it broke the second time. There's an old piano, which isn't much good, but it does play. Oh, by the way, you know, we were talking about how big my hands are. People don't believe me when I tell them I can put down 13 keys on a piano. There's 13 keys that I'm pressing down right there, but not very easily. My hands are so arthritic now, it's hard to actually reach them now. No, there I got it. I got it real good now. So there's 13 keys that I can press down with one hand. That'll give you some idea how large my hands are. Try that sometime and you'll understand. So there you go, guys. There's the living proof how big my hands are. You try that sometime and just see how many you can hold down. So for the skeptics who don't think you can burn green wood without getting creosote, here's a close-up look at the chimney. And you can see there's nothing built up around there. Very, very little discoloration, and that's since 2013 when it was put in. And I've never had to clean it one single time. And that's the truth. And you can see back here, there's no buildup back here. Now, I do occasionally have to open that little clean out right there and clean out some ash that gets stuck in there. But like, you know, maybe a half a coffee can full or something like that. You know, not a lot of ash, but I do have to clean that out every so often. But as far as the chimney itself goes, I've never had to clean it. And I've looked, when you open this up, you can see up through the chimney. And it's just as clean as it needs to be. Here's another look at that pile of wood from a different angle. And, you know, some of these, you know, to give you a perspective how big some of these are. There's my large hand, and you can see those are pretty good sized logs that we're throwing in there. And it'll just suck them down. You don't even have to split them. I'm not kidding you. This thing burns the wood, and it knows how to burn the wood. It has a 400-gallon tank of water that it's heating. The tube goes underneath the house here, or underneath the driveway here, into those big furnaces that we saw in the utility room. And then it gets blown around and forced air throughout the house. There's a 5-ton air conditioner there that cools this end of the house. you can't see it, but there's another 5-ton unit on that end of the house that cools this half of the house. What's really terrible about this house is that all the ductwork and everything goes through the attic, and there is separate ductwork for the 2 furnaces, and separate ductwork for that air conditioner, and separate ductwork for that air conditioner. So you can imagine what a mess that attic is. It is a mess. There's a separate air handler for each air conditioner up in the attic. So it is a different kind of house, different kind of setup. It's just completely unusual. By the way, I forgot to tell you, this is the big great room in here and the kitchen is in here. So I tore out all of, where you see the siding, I tore all of that out, made it 6 inches thick walls, put all new insulated windows in it, doors, everything. And so, you know, it's not like I haven't done a lot of work here to insulate it. So my friends, I hope that explains to you why this house is so hard to heat. Now keep in mind, everything you saw had a concrete floor. And back in the 30s, they had no thermal breaks when they poured that concrete. It just goes straight to the outside and it sucks in the cold. That's why the house is hard to heat. You can insulate it till you're blue in the face, as I've done as much as I can. And it's still hard to heat. It's helped some, don't get me wrong, but you're just not going to change that house unless you tear it down and build another one. And someday, maybe I will, who knows. Or we'll probably move into one of my rental houses up on the other side of the valley. So now hop on, friends. We're going to take the wood buggy here and go up there and cut a load of firewood. Well, I know that was pretty far away. I don't know if you could see anything or not, but they just give you some idea that, you know, I have to use a chainsaw a lot. It's about ready to rain here, so I'm just going to pick up what little bit I've sawed up. I've actually got quite a bit more sawed up all over the place, and you know, so basically it just amounts to going out and picking it up and bringing it back. But you know, every few days I go out and saw some more because you have to stay on top of it. I'm going to show you how I dump the firewood after I haul it up here. I made this dump on the back of the tractor here. Now ordinarily I'm on the back of the tractor when I do this, and all I do is reach back and hit this lever, lift it up, and it just dumps it right out like that. So many people would be upset with just having a pile of firewood there. It doesn't last long enough to care. You know, in 2 or 3 days, it's gone. So you're wasting energy to stack it. It's just a waste of energy. You know, and some people would say, well, you need to store it in the dry. I'm telling you, that furnace doesn't care. And they told me that when I bought it. They said, you can throw anything in this furnace and it'll burn. And I'm believing it because it really is the truth. And like I showed you before, there's no creosote built up, so you don't have to worry about it. I mean, I burn in green wood. Yeah, I know it's not as efficient to burn green wood, but that's what I have plenty of this year, and I'm not going to let it go to waste. I'm going to use it. So it would be senseless to go out and try to cut wood and season it at this point when they've logged all year long, you know. So next year, that wood, most of those tops will be dried out, and all I got to do is cut them up and throw them in here. Yeah, and I know it's not completely seasoned that way either, so I already know I'm setting myself up for the million comments on this, but too bad. I've been there, done that. I know what kind of comments I'm going to get, and I'm just going to blow them off. So Hope you've enjoyed seeing how I do my firewood.